Dear friends, the Mission RK is a group of people who are trying to bring down the new rays through the works of the Guru Satta. In Guru Satta, we have chosen 7 rays of the Masters. But that doesn't mean that these are only the Masters and all else need not be understood. This is just like prescribing a syllabus for a postgraduate course in English. We prescribe certain authors, but that doesn't mean that they are the only authors which you should know. Once you complete the master's degree, you will be able to understand all the authors. Similarly, when you study this Guru Satta, you will be understand and you will be able to put it into practice, and if possible, to organize a group of people for the new race, which is coming very fast. The qualities of the new race are especially 2. Before I come to that aspect of the new race, let me give you a great example of the new race in the form of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. If you can understand him, you can understand all the fundamentals of the new race and also the way you should approach towards spiritualism in a materialistic sense. I repeat this word, spiritualism in a materialistic sense. What I mean to say is, everything which is material is also spiritual. We have forgotten it. And we draw a dividing line between materialism and spiritualism. But that is not the case. Actually, materialism is nothing but concentrated spiritualism, and spiritualism is nothing but rarefied materialism. Just as in Einstein's words, we can say that matter is crystallized energy, and energy is the evaporated state of matter. With this background, let us try to understand how the life of a master guides us step by step. Today, we will take the example of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa and try to emulate his example in our daily life. The first thing in daily life which those who aspire to be spiritualists is to become sensitive to nature, to become sensitive to the beauties of nature, to the contrasts in nature. This we find in the life of Ramakrishna Paramahansa when he was a small boy of around 6 years. He was carrying puffed rice in a can and walking in his fields. Suddenly a dark cloud came, and when he lifted his head, he saw few white cranes flying underneath the black cloud. This contrast of black and white sent him into raptures, and he fell down unconscious. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in his house. This example and many such ecstatic examples are filled in the life of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. But what we should gather from this is, we need not be so sensitive. We need not go into trances, but we should feel the beauty of nature. As Walter de la Mare says, there is no time to stand and stare. You should get some time to stand and stare and understand. Not only stare, but you try the color combinations in nature, especially when the sun rises in the east and when the sun goes down the west. Try to understand the differences in the hues, the shades, the colors, the tints, and then you can understand actually how to live like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So this is the basic education which we must give to our children, to understand the beauty of nature, to understand how things are. And again, when he was around 9 years of age, we come to a very peculiar incident where he was playing the role of Shiva on a Mahashivaratri day. The actor who was supposed to play the role of Shiva didn't turn up. people who knew the talents of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as a child to imitate people. And imitating people is the best way to learn knowledge. That is how children learn, by imitating. So they approached the young child, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, probably aged around 9 years, and asked him to play the role of Shiva. And as in the dance was going on, and everyone was singing Om Namah Shivaya, this boy went into a trance, tears of joy flowing in his eyes. And then they had to stop the drama and then take him to the house. And only after a few hours of tremendous nurturing could they bring him back to senses. This is one of the another aspects of life which we should learn. To live the role correctly. When he played the role of Shiva, he could play the role of the Shiva correctly. But are we playing our roles as a father, mother, son, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, etc.? So this is another approach, what we understand from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, play the role. The extreme ends to which he could take this particular aspect of playing a role, we can see when he was a pujari, a priest in the temple of Kali. When the trustee was there singing the bhajans with him, and for a moment when her mind went into her court case, he slapped her on the face. Because even here you are thinking of that. Do you understand what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa meant by that? Whatever role you are playing means whatever duty you are doing. Because every duty is a role if you understand it properly. In the real aspect of life, you should play it correctly. The first, understand the beauties of nature. The second, understand the roles you have to play. And then the most important aspect for which the new race is being trained is to know that God exists. And if God exists, you should see Him. You should know Him. Either you should utilize Him or you should become a puppet in His hands. Naturally, one cannot utilize the tremendous power in nature which is known as God. Therefore, the only option left to us is to become a puppet in the God's hand. So if God exists, can you become a puppet in His hands? For this, when you see the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, we find how hard it is, even for a man of his sensitive nature, to come to grips with Godhood. First of all, he was trained as a Brahmin. And at that time, the caste system was in its fullest intensity. It has a very strong hold on a child's brain. So when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's elder brother wanted to become a priest in a Kali temple built by Shudra, Zamindar, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa didn't like it. When he went to the temple, he didn't take the mother's prasad, saying that it is a prasad from a Shudra built temple. Therefore, he went out and bought some puffed rice and ate. Even though Ramkumar, the elder brother, told him that once it is a prasad, it is divinity, graced by the divine powers, and you can eat it, but he couldn't do it. But slowly and slowly, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa molded himself to accept the prasad. So this is the first step to break the caste barrier.